How's it going, everyone? Yusuf back here with another video, and today I'm going to give you 10 tips to help save on your fuel economy when you're driving your car. Now, I don't know about you, but I hate it every time I go to the gas station, I fill up my car, and it costs me over $100 to fill up. That's really frustrating. So we want to make that gas last as long as possible when you're driving. Today I'm going to give you a few tips on how to save gas so that you can make those dollars that you spent at the gas station last a little bit longer. So here we go. First tip for you, don't idle your car too long in the morning. Now I know a lot of people, especially here in Canada, it's cold in the winters, and so you let your car sit for a few minutes just to warm it up. Now, if you let it sit for 10, 15, 20 minutes before you start driving, guess what? You're wasting a ton of gas, and that's not going to help you when you go fill up at the station when you're empty. So always take a few minutes just to think about how long do I need before my car warms up? How long do I need to get ready in the morning? And when is the right time for me to turn on my car so that I'm not wasting so much gas, but I'm also letting the car warm up in the necessary time. Tip number 2, and this is an interesting one. Anybody who's ever gone to drive around a racetrack or done go-karting or had any professional driving training, they will tell you the number 1 tip for going fast is driving smoothly. And it's the same thing when you're trying to save gas. And the reason for that is we all know people, I'm just going to say this, we all know people who are always really hard on the gas and the brake. They're constantly gas brake, gas brake, gas brake, gas brake. And that is really hard on the car. And guess what? It uses up more gas because every time you floor the gas pedal, you push the gas pedal really hard, it's opening up all of those chambers, all the fuel is going into the engine, all the air is coming in, everything's been pushed in to create that bigger explosion to make the engine work a little bit quicker, and that is using up a lot more fuel. If you're light on your foot, that's going to open everything up just a little bit less, and that's going to make sure that it's sipping the fuel and not taking big gulps of it when you're driving. So be smooth, and that also goes with when you're going up and down hills, things like that. Just prepare. Look where you're going in advance, and that's going to help make sure that you're saving a little bit more fuel on your drive. Tip number 3. Coast whenever you can. And I don't mean put the car in neutral. What I mean is when you're driving and you see all the lights are green, or you're driving on the highway and everything's good, and you have an opportunity to let off the gas pedal for a little bit, just do it. Let the car coast for a little bit. And especially when you're driving in the city, a lot of times you see that red light coming up ahead and you're a few hundred meters back. Just let off the gas pedal. Don't wait until you get really close to the car in front of you before you step on the brakes, and then you have to press the brakes really hard. Coast a little bit. It'll let the car slow down very, very gradually, and it's going to help save you a little gas for that time that you would have otherwise still had your foot planted on the gas pedal. Coasting really helps, and all those times that you coast, it really adds up. And if you have a hybrid car or any other sort of plug-in electric, you know, that's sort of the best way that you can maintain your range. And it's the same thing with the normal regular car. When you have your foot off the gas pedal, then the gasoline is not being thrown into the engine in the same way that when you've got your foot on the gas pedal. I'm not going to go into all the technical details about how that works, but it makes a massive difference. So coast whenever you can. That's going to really help save a little bit of gas. All right, tip number 4. Make sure your tire pressure is the correct pressure. Now, I know a lot of people don't know how to find out their tire pressure. They don't know how to go and fill up their tires with gas. Sorry. A lot of people don't know how to fill up their tire with air, but it's a very, very simple thing, and get familiar with it. Don't wait till the last possible second, because that can really impact how much tire is actually on the road and how much rolling resistance you have moving the car. And that rolling resistance can translate into how much gas the car needs to actually get the car to move at the speed that you want it to go in. And especially as you go higher speeds, that rolling resistance is actually exponentially becoming more difficult for the car. So it's really important to make sure that you have the right tire pressure on your car. You can go to the dollar store and get a tire pressure gauge for $1 or anywhere else. You don't need to spend a lot of money. Just make sure that your tires are pumped up at the right pressure for your car, and that's going to help make sure that you're in the optimal sort of fuel economy range for those tires. Now, you can get other tires that are going to help save fuel, some thinner tires, and obviously that will impact it as well. But whatever tires you have on the car, just make sure that they're pumped up at the right pressure, and that's going to make a massive difference moving forward. All right, Tip number 5. This is an interesting one that a lot of people don't know about. If you are driving in the summer, blasting the air condition, or you're driving in the winter and you're blasting the defroster, that's using the condenser that's attached to the engine. And that really helps make sure that you get the coldest air, and it helps make sure you've got the warmest air in the winter when you're defrosting your windows. Now, when you use that defroster, when you're using the air condition, that condenser that's working off the engine is sucking off a little bit of the engine's power. And when it's sucking off the engine power, that means that it's using more gas. Now, when you do that, you'll notice, especially in the summer when you're driving with the air condition blasting, you don't have the same feedback or response when you're pressing the gas pedal. And that just means that you're going to spend a little bit more time pushing that gas pedal to the floor, and that's using up more gas. So if you don't need the air conditioner in the summer and you really want to save a little bit of gas, turn it off. It will make a noticeable difference over that fuel economy when you're driving the car for a long distance or even on a short distance. So you'll notice it when you go and fill up at the end of the week or the end of the 2 weeks when you've reduced your using of the air conditioning or the defroster. Pay attention to it, because a lot of times people use their climate control and automatic and they don't really pay attention to that stuff. It will make a difference, and if you really care about that extra little bit of fuel economy, that will make the difference for you. That will make the difference for you. All right, tip number 6, maintain your car. I know that that's a self-explanatory one, but trust me, if your car is in good running condition, meaning all of your fluids are topped up and you've done your oil changes in the right time and everything else is running properly, you don't have broken bearings, you don't have poor suspension, you don't have camber and weird things happening with your alignment and all of that, your car is going to be functioning in its optimal condition, and that's going to make sure that you're not going to burn more fuel than is absolutely necessary. If you're running on poor oil, your bearings are not running really well, and your alignment is off, that is all going to contribute to the car needing to work a little bit harder, and when it works harder, it's going to use more gas. So think about that. If you're on time with your service and you make sure that you take care of everything, that's going to make sure also that you're going to pay a little bit less at the pump. All right, tip number 7. Make sure you have the right tires for your car. I know that sounds crazy and not so important, but it really, really makes a difference. If your tires are too wide for your car or they're too narrow, that's going to impact things. If you have snow tires in the summer, that's going to impact things. If you have summer tires in the winter, that's going to impact things. Because if you have the wrong tires for the car is going to work harder. And that means that you're going to have a different set of rolling resistance on the ground when your car is trying to move. In the winter, if you have summer tires, it's going to wear out your tires very quickly. You're going to spin quite a lot, and that spinning is going to waste more gas. If you have winter tires in the summer, the winter tires are a lot softer. They're designed so that they can withhold the winter. And in the summer, they're just simply going to melt, and it's going to wear them out a lot quicker, and it's going to add rolling resistance, and that's going to make your tires cost you a little bit more at the gas pump. If you've got too wide tires on your car, if they don't fit your car properly, when they're really wide, that's adding more rolling resistance. That's more of a contact patch on the road. Now, it's great for grip if you're going on a racetrack and you really care about that, but it's going to hurt the fuel economy. So make sure you have the right tires on your car, and that's going to help penny pinch a little bit more when you go to fill up the next time. All right, number 8. When you're driving your car, make sure you're in the right driving mode. What I mean by that is there are a lot of times different driving modes when you get into your car. Sometimes you have a sport mode, sometimes you have an eco mode, sometimes you have a normal mode. And if you've got a Lamborghini or Ferrari, you've got track modes and things like that. But the reason why it's important to be in the right mode is if you're in a sporty mode, it's going to keep the revs a little bit higher. When you have the revs a little bit higher, that means the engine is working harder than it probably has to at any given time. And that means it's going to be sucking in more fuel, and that's going to cost you more at the end of the week when you go to fill up. So if you have an eco mode or you have a normal mode, that's probably the one that you want to be in all the time. Most cars will default to that, but some of them will remember the mode that you were in last time when you drove the car. And if you're driving a little more spiritably, then you may want to make sure that you're in that normal mode after when you want to save fuel. So keep track of that. When you get in your car, just take a look at what mode you're in. That's going to help make sure that you're using the maximum efficiency when you're driving your car. All right, number 9. Now this is an important one. When I was in young drivers driving school a long time ago, they used to tell me, plan your route. That's going to help make sure that you get to wherever you're going safest, but it will also help you make sure that you're going to use the least amount of fuel on your trip. Now hear me out on this. Sometimes when you drive places, there are a lot of stop signs, there are a lot of traffic lights, there may be a lot of speed bumps, there may be a lot of stop and go, and there may be a lot of hills. So you can actually sit and think about how you're going to get somewhere and what's going to take the least amount of fuel for me to drive there, and that's going to actually save you some gas in the long run. It may not be the shortest route. You may have to drive a little bit longer, but you could save a little bit of gas if you're going on a really steep hill, or you've got a lot of bumper to bumper traffic and you can find a quicker route going another way. Or maybe there's a lot of stop signs or speed bumps or things like that. They're going to make you slow down, speed up again, and slow down and speed up again. All of that is going to take a little bit more gas from you. So pay attention to the route, and if you can plan it out ahead of time, especially if you're going for long distances, that's going to make a massive difference. Driving on a highway, for example, even in bumper to bumper traffic, you're not stopping and going as frequently as you would in the normal city driving. And so that may help you save a little bit more on gas. That rolling and that just momentum going, instead of coming to a complete stop and then accelerating out of that, that's going to save you a lot of gas. So think about that next time you're driving. What's the best route for me to take that won't involve a lot of hills or traffic lights or stop signs or speed bumps or things like that that are going to cost me a lot more with my fuel economy? That's going to save you a lot of money over a few years. All right, number 10. This is a big one. People don't think about this enough, but anything that's hanging outside of your car is going to cost you a lot in terms of fuel economy. If you have a roof box on your car, I see a lot of people now with these roof boxes or sort of mesh wired things that sit on top of their car. People have roof racks. So a lot of people have flags on special days, things like that. If you leave those things on your car, it's going to cost you in fuel economy. All of that is adding drag. If you open your window and you keep your hand outside when you're driving, you feel all that air pressure on your hand. That's the same thing when it comes to drag with all these other things that are sitting on top of your car or outside of your car. So remove those things. It's going to make your car a little bit more aerodynamic, and that's going to save you over the long term a little bit of gas. Your car isn't going to have to work as hard to get you wherever you have to go. And so all that stuff adds up. So keep that in mind. After you go on a nice long trip and you've got your roof box on your car, take it off if you don't need it to be there, because it's just adding extra weight and extra rolling resistance for the car, because it's not as aerodynamic as it would be had it not been there. And to go along with that point, if you have any extra weight in your car, I know a lot of people that carry a ton of garbage in their car. And I don't mean that in the garbage, stinky stuff that you throw out usually during the week with the garbage trucks. I mean, you have knapsacks in there. You've got extra stuff that you don't need in your car. All of that adds weight. And I know it's trivial, but when you're driving around with an extra 50, 60, 100 pounds, that's like carrying an extra person in your car every time you go drive around. So if you don't need that stuff in the car, take it out. It will actually save you fuel economy later on. Over the course of a year, driving around with an extra 100 pounds in your car, it'll add up. And so if you take it out, it'll make a little bit of a difference over the course of a lifetime with your car. Now, all these things are not going to be, wow, I've saved $1,000 this month on gas, but over the course of a lifetime with a car, it's going to make a difference. And it really helps. And so if you think about all these little tips, at the end of a year or the end of 2 years or 10 years of driving that car, you will notice that your fuel economy will be a little bit better, and it's going to save you money in the long term. So I hope this is helpful. This is stuff that I think about when I drive my car. I try to be as cautious as I can, but sometimes you want to enjoy and be spirited. And in that case, don't worry about fuel economy. But if you really do care about it, keep these tips in mind. It will make a massive difference over the lifetime of your car. Thank you so much for watching. Again, please share it with people that you think will really value from this. And I hope to see you in the next video. Have a great rest of your week.